There was a morning I'll never forget. Ms. Ruth, 74 years old, sat in front of me, her eyes still foggy after a mild stroke a few weeks ago. Her daughter gently fed her a piece of steamed salmon, just a small bite, soft and fragrant. She chewed slowly, swallowed even more slowly. And just as I was about to ask a few memory check questions, she looked up, smiled, and whispered, "Today is Lucy's birthday." Lucy is her granddaughter. For nearly 6 months, she hadn't said Lucy's name correctly. And now, after just one bite of fish, that memory returned. I didn't say a word. Just nodded quietly. And inside, I knew. Brain recovery doesn't begin in the ICU. It begins at the table. The right food. The right texture. The right memory at the right time. As a brain doctor, let me ask you this: have you been thinking that recovery after 60 is too difficult? That once memory fades, it can't return? If so, you're not alone. Many people believe that. Until they learn more about brain health for seniors and the role of soft, omega-3 rich foods. I'm not here today to promote pills. I don't believe in miracles that come in capsules. I believe in a spoonful of soft fish, a soft boiled egg, a warm glass of walnut milk, things you can prepare, every day, right in your own kitchen. Because brain doctor advice isn't always found in complex medicine. Sometimes it's in chewing slowly the right nutrients, eating soft at the right time, and loving the right people. If you've seen a loved one start to stumble on words, forget their grandchild's name, or get confused in the morning, that's not just aging. Those are stroke symptoms. Elderly often overlook the quiet signs that something deeper is happening. And I want you to stay with this video, because I'm about to share 5 simple, soft, omega-3 rich foods designed specifically for brains that are tired, inflamed, and in need of healing. One small change in a meal can bring back a memory. A name spoken clearly. A moment of clarity from deep within. There's still so much waiting for you on this journey. And we'll begin with the smallest step: a tender bite of fish. Most people over 60 I've met have said the same thing to me: I'm still fine, just a bit forgetful. Probably just age catching up with me. But when I ask a little deeper, have you ever forgotten the name of someone close to you? Has it ever happened that, mid-sentence, you forgot what you were about to say? Have you had mornings where your mind feels foggy, and you can't focus all day? And when they nod, I know, it's not just aging. It's early stroke symptoms, the quiet signs of a silent stroke beginning to form. Silent stroke signs don't look like what we imagine. There's no slurred face. No paralyzed arm. Just forgetfulness, trouble focusing, or unexplainable sadness. And because it's so mild, so invisible, it often gets ignored. Stroke signs most seniors miss. Yesterday you were speaking just fine. This morning, you stumbled over a few words. By the afternoon, you couldn't remember what you had for breakfast. And again, you said, "Maybe I just didn't sleep well." I get it. You don't feel pain. But that's exactly why it's so easy to miss the first warning. And that's what worries me most as a brain doctor for seniors. After 60, the brain becomes more fragile. Brain cells dry out, blood flow slows down, and signals get fuzzier. Stroke risk over 60 doesn't come from a single bad day, it comes from many unnoticed ones. And it all begins with the meals we overlook. Eating too quickly. Eating the wrong things. Eating without enough nutrients to support a nervous system that's quietly crying out. If you've ever forgotten the way home, called your grandchild the wrong name, or read a book and couldn't remember the last sentence, please don't dismiss it anymore. Because it's not just memory loss, it's an early warning. But the good news is, it's not too late. When you recognize this early, you can change the brain's entire course. You just need to start eating right. The right nutrients. The right way. At the right time when your brain needs it most. Right after this, I'll share a true story with you. A 76-year-old woman once deeply confused called her husband by name again. Just 2 weeks after changing her breakfast to include eggs, plant-based milk, and soft steamed fish. And I believe you deserve that kind of recovery too. Imagine your brain as a garden. Over many years, if we don't water it, don't nurture it, weeds will grow, the soil will harden, and the trees, memory, focus, clarity, will slowly wither. And omega-3 is the most special fertilizer for that garden. Not a heavy chemical kind, but a gentle, wholesome nutrient that seeps deep. The kind that calms silent inflammation in the brain, and helps neurons reconnect, like small streams clearing the path for a whole river to flow. As a brain doctor, I always remind my patients over 60, if you want to recover memory, don't only think about medication. Start with fat. But the right kind of fat. Because after every minor inflammation in the brain, a piece of memory gets disconnected. A region of emotion goes numb. A part of you slowly fades, and you may not even realize it. Omega-3 doesn't just regenerate cells. It also lubricates hardened brain pathways caused by years of poor eating. It helps blood circulate better, oxygen reach the brain more easily, and lowers the risk of those storms in the brain, the ones we often call silent strokes. You see what I mean? Stroke clues before attack aren't always obvious. But if the brain lacks nutrients for too long, then that silence becomes the warning. Brain health for seniors isn't found in expensive hospital bills. It lives in a soft sardine breakfast, a bowl of oatmeal with walnuts, a mashed avocado blended with olive oil. If you choose right, you're bringing forgotten areas of your brain back to life, gently but steadily. The best stroke prevention tips aren't always a blood pressure monitor, but how you feed your brain cells daily, with healthy fats that are easy to chew and absorb. And you know what? Science has shown, people who get enough omega-3 each week have 32% better memory and focus than those who don't. Not just overnight, but consistently, year after year, through the aging process. I'm going to share a touching story about Mr. Peter, a man who regained his clarity and said his wife's name again. Just 3 weeks after changing his meals following a doctor's advice. I want to tell you about a man named Peter, 72 years old, living in Oregon. He used to be a mechanical engineer, skilled and detail-oriented. But then one day, he started noticing. He was forgetting things. Not big things. Just couldn't quite recall where he'd put his keys. Sometimes mid-sentence, he'd lose his train of thought. And one morning, he looked at his wife, confused, unable to remember her name. She shed a tear. Because she knew, this wasn't just old age fog. It was a sign of stroke in seniors, a weariness in the brain that many people tend to overlook. They came to see me, and the first thing he said was, "I didn't have a stroke. My hands work, my face isn't drooping." I smiled and replied, "I believe you. But I also believe your brain is sending signals, in silence." So many people miss stroke signs because they think no obvious symptom means no problem. But the truth is, when you start forgetting family names, when you feel unusually tired, when you lose that sharpness you once had, those are the first senior health stroke warnings. I didn't give Peter strong medication. I started in the kitchen. I asked his wife to steam soft salmon and mix it with olive oil. His lunch, a soft-boiled egg, ripe avocado, and a few crushed walnut pieces. Day 1, he had no appetite. Day 3, he finished his meal. By day 7, he began to recall memories from his youth. And on the 3rd week, he turned to his wife, held her hand, and said her name. Clearly, firmly. "Mary. You think that's small? It's not. For a wife who waited 8 months to hear her name again, that was a gift bigger than medicine. Brain doctor advice isn't always a prescription. Sometimes, it's belief. It's timely nutrition. It's a warm enough hand so the other doesn't feel lost. You don't have to wait until you forget yourself. The moment you notice small changes, start. The brain can recover. Connections can come back. As long as you nourish it, the right way, with love that's patient enough. There's one thing I've witnessed throughout my years as a brain doctor, and it's this: many people truly want to recover, but eat in ways that make the brain even more exhausted. I don't blame them. Because no one ever taught us that. The way we eat could actually be the reason our brain hurts, causing neural connections to break, and making stroke symptoms in elderly more and more apparent. An older woman in Florida once told me, "I eat a lot, I drink walnut milk, I eat nuts, oats. But when I asked, do you chew thoroughly? Do you steam them soft or eat them hard?" She lowered her head, silent. You see, when the digestive system weakens after 60, forcing the stomach to overwork is like asking someone gasping for breath to run a marathon. And the result is, instead of nourishing the brain, we unknowingly add more inflammation, more fatigue. And there are other mistakes too. Eating too much animal fat, thinking it's good for the brain, drinking thick smoothies, but lacking the nutrients to metabolize them, or only eating fruit, but missing the clean protein needed to rebuild brain tissue. All of these may be warning signs of stroke, rooted in how we eat. Subtle. Faint. Just like silent stroke signs that others may not see, but your brain feels them clearly. Stroke prevention tips are not about eating a lot of good stuff, but about eating the right type, in the right way, at the right time the brain needs. Especially after 60. Salmon, when fried crisp, loses all its fatty acids. Walnuts, eaten whole, are hard for the stomach to absorb. Olive oil, when poured into a frying pan, is already degraded. And that's why steaming, mashing, and combining correctly, is the simplest way to turn food into brain medicine. We don't need massive changes. Just a little more thoughtfulness, and you might already be saving yourself from a silent stroke without even realizing it. Now let's move on to the most heartwarming part: what to eat and how to eat so it's not only delicious, but also gently restores the brain. These are meals I've recommended to hundreds of patients over 60, especially suitable for those who've experienced stroke risk over 60, even if it was just a minor one, fleeting, or still quietly lingering. Dish 1: oatmeal cooked with almond milk and ground walnuts. This dish warms the belly, is soft, easy to digest, and each spoonful is like a small gift for brain health for seniors. Don't leave the walnuts whole, grind them finely or crush them by hand and add to the pot when the porridge is boiling. A bit of cinnamon, a banana slice, and you have a wonderful start to the morning. Dish 2: steamed salmon with olive oil and fresh lemon drizzle. I call this dish a gentle prescription-free medicine. Because the omega-3 in salmon gets lost if you fry it, but if you gently steam it, add a splash of olive oil and a few drops of lemon, it will help lubricate the brain and reduce inflammation significantly. This is one of the dishes I always highlight when offering brain doctor advice. Dish 3: soft-boiled egg with mashed avocado. Sounds simple, but it's very effective. Eggs provide choline, which improves memory. Avocado is rich in healthy fats that support brain cells. Just mash half an avocado with a soft egg, sprinkle a bit of pink salt, and you have a light meal that keeps the brain alert. Dish 4: whole wheat pasta mixed with flaxseed and steamed veggies. I recommend this one for lunch or dinner. Cook the pasta until it's really soft, mix in ground flaxseed, and add some steamed carrots or pumpkin. No need for oil or heavy seasoning. And every meal like this is a soft whisper to the brain that says, "I'm taking care of you with kindness." Dish 5: pumpkin soup with chia seeds and lentils. This one is especially helpful for those recovering from a mild stroke. Pumpkin contains beta-carotene, which protects the brain. Chia seeds and lentils are gentle, plant-based protein sources. Cook it all into a soup, season lightly, eat it warm, easy to absorb, easy to feel hopeful again. I always tell my patients, stroke signs most seniors miss don't come from blood pressure. They come from what we feed the brain every single day. Don't wait until your brain screams to start healing. Just by eating right, gently, consistently, you're already taking steady steps on the road to recovery. If someone asked me, can eating alone really change anything? I'd tell them the story of Clara, 68 years old, living in Colorado. She had a minor stroke, just a few minutes long, but it left a lasting impact. She walked more slowly, she spoke with a slight stutter, and she often felt like her head was foggy. I didn't give her new medication. I didn't increase the dose. I simply said, each day, you'll eat as I guide, just give it 2 weeks, and then we'll talk again. 14 days later, Clara came back. Her face looked brighter. Her voice more confident. And she said, I just remembered the song I used to sing to my grandson when he was 4. You could call that a miracle. I call it, the science of gentle brain recovery. When you eat the right kind of easy-to-absorb omega-3, along with nutrients that support neural cells, your brain begins to feel like a garden being evenly watered, blood flows more smoothly, neuron connections heal faster, and the memory processing areas become more flexible. What's remarkable is this: those stroke warning signs, those cracks in memory, those stroke clues before attack, they start to fade. Quietly. No fireworks. No dramatic test results. Just the feeling, you're becoming yourself again. As a brain doctor, one thing I've seen most clearly is this: the brain doesn't need you to do something grand. It just needs you to listen at the right time. And to nourish it the right way. Because, brain health for seniors doesn't come from the hospital. It comes from what you choose for your evening meal. A slice of avocado. A spoonful of porridge. 14 days of patience. You can start today. And soon, you'll be the one telling me your story of recovery. Do you still remember Clara? That 68-year-old woman once looked at me with shy eyes and said, I can't remember where I left my wallet. And I think I also forgot my grandson's birthday. Those little stories, to me, are always early stroke symptoms in the elderly. No bleeding, no numbness. Just those moments where memory fades. And many have missed those stroke signs. But after 14 days of eating the right way, gently, steadily, Clara didn't just feel lighter in the head. She told me, I was standing in the kitchen, music playing, and suddenly I started singing along to a children's song. It was the one I used to sing to my grandson. And strangely, I remembered not just the melody, but his eyes too. I looked at her, said nothing. Just nodded, silently sharing that small joy. Because I knew, her brain had just reconnected with a deep part of memory and brought it to life. Senior health stroke warnings aren't always dramatic events. Sometimes, they are emotional blanks, those places where we forget who we once loved, or when we last felt joy. And when I see a patient singing an old tune again, smiling as they tell an old story, or remembering a loved one's name without trying too hard, I know, as a brain doctor for seniors, I couldn't ask for anything more. Because the true goal of recovery isn't a lab result. It's this: you come back to what once made you feel warm inside. That's what brain health for seniors really means: a song, a dish, a memory returning, and a gentle, misty gaze when you suddenly realize, oh, I'm still whole. I'm still here. I used to think being a doctor means walking alone. Going ahead, speaking first, and the patient simply follows. But after hundreds of conversations, I realized healing is never a one-person journey. Brain doctor advice may be the starting point. But what truly helps seniors change is when they realize they're not alone. That there are many others quietly healing, just like them. You might be sitting alone, watching this video. Maybe you've missed stroke signs, and thought, I'm just a little forgetful. But if you're still breathing today, still hearing your heartbeat, then it's never too late. Stroke prevention tips aren't just about exercises or food. They're also about patience. Choosing each morning to cook something easy to chew, choosing to drizzle a bit of olive oil, choosing to walk a few extra steps, and choosing to let your brain rest at the right time. Brain health for seniors starts with small actions, but grows into a new way of living. No panic. No complexity. Just living. Slower, and deeper. And then, you'll see the miracle happen. A memory returns, a clearer gaze, a familiar song, and you sing the whole verse again. That's when your brain whispers, thank you for not leaving me behind. You don't have to do this alone. Leave a hello in the comments below. Or share this video with someone you think might need it. They may not have said it out loud, but maybe they're waiting for a little spark of hope from you. Senior Health Stroke Warning isn't here to scare you. It's here to remind you, each day is a chance to live differently. I'm a brain doctor for seniors, and I believe, a community that heals with love is stronger than any medicine. Thank you for staying with me through this video. If something in it touched your heart, leave a simple thank you below so I know you're here, and still listening to yourself. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to remember. And you deserve to live an alert, gentle old age. We'll meet again in the next video, or on a quiet morning, when you step outside, take a deep breath and smile.